Hey everyone, welcome to the Hair Transplant channel. My name is Joe Tillman and you're watching the official YouTube channel for hairtransplantmentor.com. Normally this is where we'd cue my intro, but didn't get that set up. So yeah, thanks for joining me on this live stream. I think it's the first of its kind. Number one, it's an earlier time than I normally go on with Spencer Coburn when we do the Bald Truth every Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and I think it's, 10 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. But the other reason why this is a first is because I think it's a first. I don't think anyone has done a live stream reaction video before. There's plenty of reaction videos that are pre-recorded and then produced with effects and crossovers and all these things. I don't have a whole lot of time for that right now, and beginning of the year and things going on. But I thought this would be an interesting, maybe, I don't know. You tell me if it's interesting to do a live stream reaction video to something that's already out there. And I'm looking at a video made by Matt Dominance, who is a hair loss, hair transplant influencer. If you've not heard of him before, I think he got started about 4 years ago, I think. Had a hair transplant in Turkey. I forgot the name of the clinic, but I remember the doctor because I remember I could point out, like I could see his hairlines on patients and know that they were his patient before it was even revealed that they were his patients. He went there and then he started his YouTube channel, and he's been growing it, and good for him. He's been doing a good job with it. And I kind of noticed that he puts out a lot of content frequently, or I'll just say content frequently, which is what one needs to do to grow. I have another part of my business that doesn't allow me to do this quite as often as I'd like, because all the doctors that are on my recommended list or on my website, I do work with them behind the scenes, for other things. It's not just a YouTube gig that I have. So, And I was going through some of his content because someone had actually sent me this video that we're going to review, and they wanted my opinion on his take on the 5 steps to get your hair back. I don't think he says exactly what the 5 steps are for, but hey, House, Happy New Year. But I realized that some of the content he's putting out, it looks like it's because of that need just to put content out. And when we go through this video, you'll see what I mean. And I want to be clear, this isn't a slam on Matt Dominance. This isn't a negative critique. It is a critique on some of the things that he's saying. But in this video, you'll see that he pushes his consultation service, which I don't know how much it costs, but I know that he charges for it. And that's fine. And I want to make it perfectly clear, I am a capitalist, and if people are willing to pay you money, then good for you. You deserve it, for what that's worth. But I just want to make that clear. I'm not here to drag him through the mud. I am here to give my opinion on what these 5 steps mean and how effective they will be. So I just learned how to do this, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to switch this over so I can start the video and then watch. One thing you're going to notice is there are going to be some ads popping up on his video that we're watching. It's because the software I'm using, I can't log into my account, which gets rid of the ads. So we will be having to go through those. Anyway, so another thing, I do have the phone line set up. So if you want to call and maybe give your own opinion or your own critique on these 5 steps, or if you just have a comment or a question, hopefully related to this, you can call in. The number is 1-833-563-4247. I will add that into the description if I get a second, but I just got that reestablished. So all this is very last minute, the final details. But yeah, again, the number is 833-563-4247, and hopefully that will work out nicely for us. So let's just go ahead and get this started. I'm going to try to switch this over. Please bear with me. Try to get this done. Yeah, okay, so make sure you can hear me. Can everyone hear me out there? I want to make sure. once this comes around. Okay. I think I need to pop that open. No, okay. So we're going to give this a shot and see how it works out. Let me pop this in. There I am. Hey, everyone. All right, so let's get going on this.
In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you guys how you can get the best hair transplant result in 2023 utilizing 5 very important steps. First, you need to do all of them. You cannot leave any of these steps.
I will say it's obvious that he's upped his game with the overlays on the software he's using. I don't know if he's doing the editing or if he's hired someone to do it, but the production quality has certainly gone up over the past few years. Good for him.
Otherwise, your hair transplant is not gonna look the best, believe me. You can do them, however, in the optional order. So make sure you stay tuned until the end of this video so you will find out what are these 5 steps you need to absolutely do first. Before we start, as always, quick shout out to our sponsor, GoFiber. These are hair building fibers you can use to mask any thinning or patchy areas on your scalp to make your hair look thicker and better. So make sure you check out the link in the video description below where you can visit GoFiber, get a free sample of your choice and try them out. See if you like them. Now, over the last 3.5 years, I've been extensively helping, assisting and guiding guys before their hair transplant decision, saving them stress, money and time, helping them maximize their hair transplant success and help them avoid all the possible pitfalls that can make your hair transplant unsuccessful.
Like I said, he's got his consultation service. He's going to pimp it out, not just now, but also later on. So be prepared for that. I'm going to see if I can skip forward on this a little bit.
Before picture of a client that I had, and I was like, man, you had such great hair quality. You had such a great donor zone. You could have done only this little step differently and you would have ended up with a much better result compared to what you can see here. Or the other client who missed out on the step number 3 and did all of the other steps properly. So
I will comment, good for Matt. He did recognize that his transplant, his original transplant, needed some work, and as he learned more about the industry, he learned about how things could be improved, and he's had his hairline, I'll say, adjusted. I don't know if he revealed this publicly, but he has had some improvements to his hairline. So good for him. I'm always happy to see when people improve their own surgical outcome with little refinements. So good for him on that.
Here you can see how important it is to do all of these 5 steps right here to make sure that your hair transplant is gonna not only turn out successful, but it's gonna be the best it can be in 2023.
Okay, that was a little long for an intro, but I will say that making that claim up front that if you follow these 5 steps, regardless of what they are, you can ensure that you'll have the best outcome in the claims he was making. No steps will ever guarantee or make sure that you have the best possible outcome with the expectation it will be fantastic. Every surgery has its risks, no matter what kind of preparation you make. I can't stress that enough. Everyone else I know of on YouTube, except for, of course, Spencer Coburn, everyone else on YouTube talks about the sure outcome, the absolute expectation of a great results if you do X, Y, Z. I don't think I've seen any YouTuber in this space that has said otherwise, except for me, except for Spencer. And I don't know what. Well, I have an idea why, but I think that's really important. People need to understand that it doesn't matter where you go, it doesn't matter what kind of preparation you make, there's always the chance of a bad outcome. So please don't forget that. Let's continue. Step number 1.
So let's come to the step number 1, everybody, where I'm going to be explaining to you how you should plan your hair transplant ideally and why you should plan it in advance. Now, over the last almost 4 years of me working with hundreds of clients and helping them find the best hair transplant clinic in almost 20 different countries worldwide, I have noticed a very, very important pattern. The best hair transplant clinics, institutions, doctors are booked at least 3 months in advance, normally 3 to 6 months, exceptionally even 6 months, a year, or longer. These are very small percentages of the doctors who have very
I don't think that any of the best clinics out there are booked 3 months. All the best clinics I work with, and the ones that even the ones I don't work with that I talk to behind the scenes, they're booked out more than 3 months. So I think that's selling. It depends on what his definition of the best clinics are, but I think it's selling them short because it is at least 6 months based on my experiences and my interactions with the industry.
Very long waiting times. Now, I definitely do advise everybody who is interested in a hair transplant in 2023 to plan your hair transplant in advance. Because if you go and get a hair transplant last minute, you are going to be left with clinics that are doing one of these three things, or all of them. Number one, clinics running high patient practices. That means 10 patients per day or more. Number two, they have very low doctor involvement in the surgery, sometimes even no doctor involvement in the surgery, and very high technician involvement in the surgery. And number three, these clinics are also more likely to be more sales oriented instead of being patient oriented. And when guys are sending me different offers and quotes from these types of clinics, and I really feel like, hey, this is actually too much sales going on for a medical type of institution that is actually.
Okay, I kind of agree with that, but look, let's be honest. I've talked about this over the years. The overall quality of what patients expect to be a natural outcome and what's being delivered as a natural outcome by the majority of clinics out there, it has been lowered. But there are cases where I've seen clinics that are what he's talking about, especially the ones that don't really have any doctor involvement. I got to call a spade. I've seen some good results that, are not, I'll say they're not consistent for that clinic, but I have seen some results that do stand out. I agree with him in general on this first step. So, but he's about to say something here that I do question. So I'm going to continue on with point number one.
Actually responsible for doing surgeries on human beings. So oftentimes the sales side of these clinics or hair transplant institutions can be just too much. And now you may be like, hey, I don't mind the sales if the result is going to be 10 out of 10. But this higher sales orientation usually comes with a lower patient orientation and also lower focus on patient individual needs, characteristics of his hair, donor area and recipient area.
Okay, I'm going to stop here. I disagree with this, and the reason being is because I think that every clinic, regardless of how they're set up, number one, they obviously have a right to promote themselves, as every clinic should, but I don't think that there's any such thing as too much. And I say that because, when I work with clinics that sign on with me that gain hair transplant mentor status, I coach them on how to up their game with their presentations. It's not so much the volume of their presentations, it's the quality of their presentations, photos, videos, angles, lighting, all that good stuff. But if you see a patient or a clinic that has 200 results on Instagram or on their website or whatever, I don't think it's too much. The question is if it's good work or not. That's the only thing that really matters. You've got clinics that don't really promote themselves at all, that do horrible work, and you have clinics that promote themselves quite a bit, that do incredible work. When I worked for Hassan Wong, I've talked about this on The Bald Truth. I busted my ass to get as much promotion out there as possible through the use of high definition video, which back in that day was not easy to do. There weren't iPhones didn't even exist. And to use high definition video, it meant that you had to invest in expensive equipment, expensive tape. Yes, we were using tape, not even hard drives. And it took about a week just to offload the video and to edit and then upload onto a video player that you could share. And I did one a week for a year just to get the point across that the doctors were doing superior work. And so I think that if the details are there, if patients can see exactly what is going on with the work, close-ups, angles, directions, there's nothing really hiding the final result, then I don't think that it matters if you're pushing out 200 results every year or 300 or 5, or it doesn't matter. So I don't think that there's a case for avoiding clinics that market too much.
Complexities that may compromise the end result of the surgery if there is not enough attention being put on them in the first place. So if you want to do this first step perfectly, make sure you plan your hair transplant in advance. As a result of that, get a high doctor involved practice where the doctor is having maybe 1-2 patients a day, and he's able to be very, very involved in your surgery and also provide you with a thorough consultation that goes into a lot of details. This is going to...
Before we continue, I do want to address the point that he made about going into a lot of details. I think it's incumbent upon you, the patient, to learn what those details are first, because if you go into a clinic and they're giving you lots of details, but you don't know what those details mean, then it's useless. So just a quick tip. Understand the terminology. In fact, you can go to my website, hairtransplantmentor.com, and look up terms and definitions, the glossary for this industry. It's got more definitions than I believe any other website on the web when it comes to hair restoration and hair loss. So check that out, study that, and you'll have at least an idea of what some of the things that they're telling you actually mean. Let's continue.
Be the step number 2 for everybody who's interested in getting the best hair transplant result. It will be do your research, everybody. And over the years, I realized that to do a basic but already pretty thorough research on this matter will take you about 100 hours. That means if you are busy, it can be a couple of weeks or even months to come to that level of knowledge that somebody normally would have after researching this matter for about 100 hours. Now, the problem here is also that 90% and more of hair transplant doctors do not really provide you with like an education about hair transplants and all these complexities and nuances until like maybe 1 hour before your surgery, where you come there and they will give you the consultation, and it's going to be like 10 to 20, maybe 30 minutes if you're lucky. And after that, you will be like, okay, but wait, okay. And there you go. And he's going to be like, hey, let's get the ball rolling.
Okay, so I'd like to know where he gets the number 90%. I've never heard that before. Maybe he did a poll. Maybe he did some sort of study. Who knows? But what he's saying here, I understand the point that he's making, and that is to have a consultation before surgery. My preferred method of having, of prepping for hair transplant surgery, if I were to do it all over again, knowing what I know now, doesn't matter where I'd be going. If I was going to Switzerland, if I was going to New York, and I'm willing to pay, on the low end, just a few $1,000s, on the high end, $15,000, $20,000, I would still think that because this is a long-term, lifelong impact on my aesthetics, I would be really motivated to hop on a plane, go to that clinic, spend a day or two in the city, go and have an actual in-person consultation, and do that with all the different clinics that I've narrowed my list down to of the final contenders. And I would try to understand a lot of what's going on in this industry as far as how the surgeries actually work before I'd even go in to have surgery. So the way he's saying it, it almost sounds like don't go in not knowing anything, because when you have your consultation right before your surgery, you won't know what's going on. Unfortunately, there are people out there that do that, but I think that the better way to present this would be to say, learn all you can about this clinic, how they do things before you have your consultation. Have an online consultation, and then, of course, try to have another consultation the day before your actual surgery. That's the way it usually works, at least with clinics I work with. If you're flying someplace to have a surgery and you had your online consultation, which pretty much that's the only way to get into the clinic, is if they've already done some sort of consultation. That way they know how to plan for your case. Then when you get there, it's usually a situation where you get there the day before surgery and have your preoperative consultation, and then the next morning you have your surgery. So he said 90% of consultations are right before the surgery. I don't agree with that. So let's just continue on.
And then you don't really have enough time to think about different alternatives, options that you were provided with, all that knowledge that the doctor gave you before the surgery. And most of the guys have barely time to absorb that knowledge, not even have the capacity to think about and analyze it and try to come up with the ideal solution. Now, that's another big reason why so many guys are finding my one-on-one consulting very, very helpful, because I'm able to prepare them mentally what's going to happen during their surgery, how to plan things, how to strategize different aspects.
I just noticed, I didn't pay attention to this before, but I'm not going to critique this. Like, you know, if you guys want to believe this, that's fine. I'm not going to
of their hair transplant also for the future, and prepare them mentally for what is also for the future. Give yourself stress, money, time, you know, not knowing which clinic to go to, thinking about different offers, quotes, techniques, oftentimes being used just as marketing tactics by different clinics, but that's completely another discussion here. So to get the most out of your hair transplant, get the best possible result, you should be willing to invest your time into expanding your knowledge on this matter. Because even if you have the consultation and conversation with your doctor, his knowledge is here and your knowledge is here. So the questions, the quality of questions you are going to be able to ask him based on his responses is going to be like that high. So I think it's very important for hair transplant patients to expand their knowledge on this matter and at least do that base hair transplant research on, or get a consultation with an expert in this field so you are able to ask these quality questions, because this will all lead to you being able to have a successful hair transplant and best result you can possibly get.
Okay, so I think that's still promoting his consultation services, and you know, maybe he's got some good tips on that. I think that it's imperative for people to do their own research because there's so much out there. And I think that if you're willing to go through this kind of procedure, where again, it is a lifelong impact on your overall aesthetic, how people view you, how they see you face to face, how they think of you when someone mentions your name, your image pops up in their head and in their mind's eye. I think it's a responsible thing to do for you to do your own research, to start with different resources and look at everything out there. You know, not just my website, Hair Transplant Mentor, but you know, American Hair Loss Association, to look at the basics of hair restoration. You know, my YouTube channel where I have my class, my hair transplant class. Again, there's no charge for this. It's all free. I made it specifically to give away for people to have a deeper understanding of this industry and what they're getting themselves into. But there are a lot of other resources out there as well. And you need to do this so that you can learn over time how to spot the BS, because there's so much of it out there. You know, I could go on forever about that, but we'll continue on with this, see what the next point is.
It's a lot more fun to do it together,
yeah,
right?
It's an ad. Okay.
We got to get it done.
Hold on, guys. Let me check the comments here. All right. What? And tell me what you think. I mean, you guys like this idea? I'm doing a live stream reaction video so far. Tell me what you think.
They fixed the car accident damage.
And
A
they give us
second
a
ad.
lifetime warranty on the repair.
Anyway. Yeah, here we go. Medication.
And now let's come to the step number 3, everybody. Use medication. Very simple thing, but many people don't do it. We have many examples like Francis Gano, LeBron James, Volkan Ozdemir. These are individuals who decided to have their hair done, but they did not get on medication. The medication use is very important because it will give...
How does he know that these sports stars stopped taking medication or did not take medication? I don't know how he, like, is he guessing and just stating his fact? I don't know. I don't know.
give you some time to observe the response to it, how much hair you can actually grow from it, how much can you stabilize, how much of your existing hair could be thickened. And once you get your hair transplant, the end result will be better because the natural hair that you have will blend with the transplanted hair much better. There's not going to be any very abrupt difference, or at least there is a very low chance of that happening. And also the color, the pigment of the transplanted hair will blend smoothly and seamlessly with the pigment of your existing hair. So that's very...
I don't understand what he means by the pigment of the transplanted hair will blend better with the native hair if you're on medication. If you know what he's talking about, please put a comment down below. I don't know. I've never understood that correlation.
Important. Color of the existing hair similar to the color of the transplanted hair to avoid any unpleasant surprises. You also avoid ending up with a bald spot or thinning areas developing behind your transplanted zone as it happened with some of these guys. Again, Francis Gano, LeBron James. It's always the same, guys. If somebody's not going to get on medication, this is what is going to happen. And if you don't know what a good medication is, it's going to be finasteride, it's going to be minoxidil, it's going to be the ketoconazole shampoo.
On this part, he is right. Like if you are not taking medication after you have a hair transplant, it's almost a guarantee that you will lose more hair behind the hair transplant, maybe even in between the grafts if the work was done into areas of native hair, and even sometimes the transplanted hair. That's a thing now that more and more doctors are acknowledging. Sometimes transplanted hair is not DHT resistant as we've all been told, and it too can thin out over time. So that's why medication is important across the board. Now, in this particular frame, he's talking about ketoconazole, 2%, being among the big three medications that you use or treatments, including obviously finasteride and then minoxidil. He's got a picture of Lonitin tablets for oral minoxidil. I don't agree that ketoconazole is reliable enough to be considered as a staple of hair loss prevention, because while there have been some studies, the only ones I'm aware of are in Japan. There's, I think, 2 studies, and they did show that it was as effective as 2% minoxidil. Who's using 2% minoxidil anymore topically? Not many people, because 5% or even higher, but usually 5% is the general dosage that's given out. I don't know if ketoconazole could be considered one of the big 3. Just saying. Let's continue.
So-called big 3, and variations of these treatments like topical finasteride or oral minoxidil you can definitely play with, but again, these are the basics, and from there you can obviously expand into anti-androgens, topical ones, and some other treatments. But again, use medication, everybody, because last thing you want...
And I got to reiterate that. Use medication, not just after a hair transplant, but before. In fact, at least 1 year before. And I'll go into this just a bit. You need to get on medication, because if it's discovered that you don't actually respond well to medication, either you get bad side effects or mild side effects that you just don't want to deal with, and you've decided it's not for you. You don't have side effects, but you're not having a cessation of your loss. I've seen this many times. And then you get a hair transplant. Sometimes it's as if you're not on medication, and you continue to lose, and then you need more surgery guaranteed, as opposed to, maybe not guaranteed if you're actually responding well to the medication. So if you're on it for a year before surgery, all these questions are answered, and you have far fewer question marks going into the actual surgery than you would have if you didn't try this beforehand. A lot of people start the medication the day after surgery, because that's when they're given their initial prescription, because their surgical or their transplant doctor will write them a script, even though the patient's like, yeah, I've never tried it. So it's far too common in my opinion. But I got to reiterate, yeah, he's absolutely spot on as far as the importance of medication. Let's continue.
is spending like thousands, sometimes even $10,000s for your hair transplant, and then seeing in 2-3 years these results just fading away because the rest is not able to keep up with the transplanted thickness and density, and it's just not going to look good, right? So make sure you take this third point very, very seriously.
Number 4, stay on medication.
Here's the step number 4. You need to take medication even after your hair transplant, even after a year, even after 3 years after your hair transplant, if you want your result to be great.
Then what was point number 3? Get on medication. And then point number 4 is stay on medication. Doesn't seem like a big delineation of information there, but
for
whatever.
long term. And many guys are asking me like, hey Matt, how long should I take the medication? They're asking the doctors, should I only use it for the first couple months like a supplement when the hair comes back? And usually it grows after 6 to 12 months. You get the full result on the front, on the crown maybe 12, 16, 18 months, but then many people stop because they see the hair is there. I don't have any reason to keep with the medication. It may have some side effects, it's annoying to apply, I forget to use it every day, but that's something you should definitely not do, because within 3 to 6 months after you stop, you already start seeing deterioration of your existing hair, sometimes even transplanted hair if you are very sensitive.
I'm glad he said that. He's absolutely correct there. If you stop your medication, whether it's after surgery or before surgery, it doesn't matter. If you've been on it for any amount of time that's worth taking the medication, excuse me, you are going to go through a telogen effluvium, and what that means is, or the reason why that happens is because we'll talk about finasteride. Finasteride is a treatment, not a cure. So what finasteride is doing is it's helping you to hang on to the hair that you would have lost had you not been on the medication, and that's assuming obviously if it's working well for you. So when you stop taking it, all that hair that you would have lost will start to come out relatively at the same time in a close time frame to its neighboring follicles. It's also falling out. So it's not a pretty thing. It's not fun. So yeah, let's move on.
Your DHT is very aggressive here. So what I would do, I would definitely keep taking medication for 12 months after your hair transplant to see how that medication is able to maximize that result after a year. And then you can maybe stop for a while and see how much deterioration you are getting. And based on that, you can experiment. You can maybe switch.
What did he just say? Hold on, let's back that up a bit.
Maximize that result after a year, and then you can maybe stop for a while and see how much deterioration you are getting. And based on that, you can experiment. You can maybe switch from oral finasteride that was able to really give you good results with the surgery. And if you have maybe side effects after a year or whatever, you can start experimenting a little bit and maybe
yeah. I'm not sure what to say. Like, I'm kind of shocked by that. He just said, after you've had your hair transplant grow in, you can stop taking medication for a few months just to see what would happen, and then experiment to see if your hair degrades. No, you don't want to do that. I think that is really bad advice. I think that, yeah, I'm kind of surprised he said that. I think I missed that before when I was going through the video, skimming through it, which is, yeah. Once you're on medication, and if you think it's working for you, do not ever stop. Period. End of story. You don't ever want to stop. If you pay $3,000 for some cheap hair transplant somewhere, or $30,000, it doesn't matter. If it's free, it doesn't matter, because you've got the hair, it's growing. Again, he's talking about after you get your final result, assuming that you're happy with it. Why the hell would you want to stop medication just to test it, just to experiment? I think that's really bad advice. I would highly encourage anyone that, don't take that advice. That is the worst advice. I'm really surprised he said that. Let's continue.
Switch to topical finasteride for a while and then get back on oral finasteride again. You can start experimenting a little bit and observe yourself whether you're getting any worsening with your transplanted and existing hair. And this is definitely a good place to start experimenting.
Sorry, I need
and then
to
get back
listen
on oral
again.
finasteride again. You can start experimenting a little bit and observe yourself whether you're getting any worsening with your transplanted and existing hair. And this is definitely a good place to start experimenting a little, but definitely you don't.
God, I'm sorry. Like, dumbest statement ever. Dumb. No, do not do that. Shocker. Yeah.
Be thinking about completely stopping everything. Okay, so that's one very important thing that many guys still do not get.
Step number 5, watch my video.
What is the fifth thing that I definitely recommend you guys to get the best results with your hair transplant in 2023? Well, it's gonna be to watch this video next, because in this video I'm sharing with you how to find a perfect hair transplant clinic for your particular case in under 10 minutes. Literally, you can watch this video, it has 10 minutes, and you will exactly know what would be the perfect clinic for you. Because if you just...
Okay, let's just stop here. So in step number 2, I think he said, you need to spend a minimum of, or I don't know if he said a minimum, but you need to spend an hour, or sorry, 100 hours of research to understand the surgeries, to understand questions you need to ask, and to find and to know what you need to know to find the clinic for you. But then point number 5 is he wants you to watch a video that will teach you in 10 minutes. Anyway, okay. So my final critique of these 5 steps is there are a couple of gems. I can't even say gems. There are a couple of nuggets of information that are pretty good, basic stuff. But when you get to point number 4 and he's talking about that nullifies the whole thing. I think it makes it the whole 5-step program, or whole 5-step, whatever he wants to call it, null and void. Because if you're telling people to experiment with medication after you've had a hair transplant to see if your native hair, and he said to see if your transplanted hair stops growing, essentially what he said, stops responding or degrades. I think degrades is the terminology he used. That's worst advice ever. So I give this, I don't have a scoring system, but if I were to give it a score you'd get in school, A, B, C, D, or F, I'd give it a D- for the quality of content. So that's that. I do, like I said before, before I get to that, if you thought this video was helpful, please hit the like button. I am trying to really kick up my game on YouTube and social media, and so when you click that like button, that does kick in the algorithm, telling people that this is actually worth watching. Let's see what else. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and of course, ring the bell for all notifications, because I think I might be doing more of these. If you found this useful, again, put that down in the comments if you like this this type of reaction video where I'm looking at it during a live stream. Enjoying Solo Joe. Thanks, Charlie. I appreciate it. And thanks for your comment earlier on one of my last videos in the comment section. I do appreciate that. No, unicorn poo, finasteride does not work on the type 1. It's the enzyme of 5-alpha reductase. It only works on type 2, whereas dutasteride, being DUA2, works on both. So yeah, that's a important distinction. Thanks, Rob. I appreciate the support. What else we got here? Yes, Mr. Rolandis, it was Morty. John, don't ask me about biscuits. it's not really relevant. Yes, Mr. Rolandis, you enjoy watching me struggle. Thank you. Thank you for the support. Much love. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I'm not getting any other questions about what we were just watching, so I do appreciate everyone tuning in. This is I think this is the first ever on YouTube, a live stream reaction in the hair transplant and the hair loss space. I'm pretty sure of that, so it's another first for the Hair Transplant channel and Hair Transplant Mentor. I'm going to wrap things up now. I do appreciate everyone tuning in. Really do appreciate that. And, you know, like I said, click that like button if you felt this was useful, and to encourage me to do more of these, I need to kick it up. So you can also put down in the comments section a suggestion on a video that you'd like me to do another live stream reaction to. You can put it in the comments section. You can DM me on Instagram. That's official Joe Tillman. I think it's official Joe Tillman. Hold on a second. I got so many handles. Really quick. That is Joe Tillman Official. Yeah, you can DM me on Joe Tillman Official on Instagram, and give me a link to a video that you'd like me to live stream react to, and we'll see if we can't get it up there. So maybe this will be a regular thing, and I think it's going to be part of my effort to bring you live streaming content on a daily basis, or every other day, or at least multiple times a week, in addition to being live every Friday with Spencer Coburn on The Bald Truth. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll get the phones worked out soon, I promise. And until next time, thanks for watching, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.